right, guys, welcome to Vahagraphy Talk number 8. And today we have a special guest, a very special guest, actually. Photo-Me-Ike. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome to Vahagraphy Talk number 8. And I'm so happy for you to join us. Me and Frames here. We got FramesTM
I'm
from
excited to
India.
have Ike here.
Well, it's
Like,
an honor. It's a pleasure. It's great to be, I guess, recognized and noticed and invited to a conversation. Low key annoyed that I didn't get to episode number 5 because 5 is my lucky number, but I'll take 8. So it is what it is.
That's cool. That's cool, man. So yeah, man, I've been noticing your work on YouTube. You do great work with models and your lighting and stuff like that.
I've learned a few tricks from you. I especially like the way he always uses one reflector like this.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
always handling this, right? It's like he at times I see that he's not using flash, but he's just making do with that. So that's very interesting. I've not seen a lot of people do that. I mean, just they have someone else handling the reflector, but the way Ike does it is very interesting.
I want to touch up on a couple of points. Touch up on your photography, your YouTube, of course. You have a big presence on YouTube, which is really good and influential. Touch up on that. And also, you guys checked that Z9 teaser this morning?
Oh yeah, I woke up this morning early on accident and happened to get on YouTube and I was like, oh, another teaser. And then I looked and I was like, it wasn't enough. It wasn't. I mean, it was telling, but it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? I was like, it was cool to see it, but I kind of want to see more. But I mean, I guess what can you expect from a teaser?
But what is your takeout? What do you take out of that?
Somebody actually asked me that. They're like, what do you think of what you've seen so far? And I'm like, I'm buying it. Like, regardless, until they actually reveal the camera or we get to see like confirmed specs. They haven't shown me anything that I don't know. Like even from the leaks before, and Nikon rumors and their spec list, like it matches what the rumors have been talking about. It's the unibody, or whatever the D6II body. It does 8K. We saw today that it does 8K. There was no timer limit on it, which it looks like there's no timer limit on 8Ks. But I mean, other than that, like what else is there to?
Yeah, I got the 8K thing. And then was she using a 7200 or was that a 400?
No, it was one of those bigger. It was one of those bigger lenses.
It was somewhere in Africa. It was out in the sun, right? And then it went on for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Now
in 8K.
What I will say, what I did notice, and this may or may not be a hot take or whatever, but she looks like when they showed the video, they showed the recording screen and it looks like it was recording in the standard picture profile. It wasn't recording in a log format or anything like that. So I'm wondering if it'll be a thing where like they may let you do like log recording in 4K, but if you do 8K, it's standard picture profile. Because I feel like the Sony does the same thing. Like you can do 8K, but it's standard. It's not, you can't do log in 8K. I could be wrong, or maybe it was like raw 8K or something like that.
I think Sony does 10-bit 420.
Yeah. So on 8K, So I noticed that. I was like, wait, and I didn't think about it till later. I was like, 8K looks so sharp. But then after the fact, I thought about it. Like, you know what? She wasn't recording log, and then I was like, either they showed that just to show the quality, or they just was like, we want to. It can't do it. It's like. But it's that's not a big deal to me.
Yeah, I don't know if we should take anything. I mean, we can check this teaser out and get something from it, but I don't know, man. They're teasing us big time, Nikon.
But the camera looks sexy.
Yeah,
it looks great.
I've never seen any other. Everybody has different marketing strategies, right? Like typically the other people, they just, the rumors hit and then you wake up and YouTube has like 18 videos of like the brand new so-and-so camera. Nikon's like, here's a little treat, here's another treat, and then and then it's like, and they just tease until boom, till it hits. Whereas like all the other, because I remember when the Nikon Zs were coming out, the Z line, they had like the history and all of that stuff, and they had a little outline of the camera, and then people were trying to like brighten the picture to kind of see from the leaks and stuff like that. So that's their thing, is teasing stuff. So
yeah, it's like the Z9. You heard it here first, guys. Ike's take, Frame's take, and my take on the teaser number 2. So, but I want to touch up on Nikon. I want to ask you a question. You are you use Nikon? Is that your go-tos right now?
That's my all of it, like Nike. So I am recording this right now. This is my first time. You inspired me to use the Nikon webcam utility, and so I'm recording this on the Nikon ZFC, which, to be honest, is going back. The lens I'm using right now is the Viltrox 24 1.8. So this is basically ZFC with the Viltrox 24 1.8. Then I have this is the Z6 here. Then I have a Z6II down there. So and then I have a D800 up there.
Much better than the webcam, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
You'll be using this from now on?
No. Here's the thing. This is the webcam that I always use.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
How do you like the ZFC? You're going to use it? What kind of use for you?
It's going back. Going back to Best Buy. No. Here's the thing. This is the thing. So once again, Viltrox sent me the 5614. 56 1.4. I don't own any Z APS-C cameras, so I wanted to do a video on this lens, and then I was like, well, I could rent it from Bar Lenses or whatever, lens rentals, but it wasn't going to get back in time. And I had a opportunity to create some content. I had a free day. So I was like, I'll just go to the Best Buy and buy, one of the DX mirrorless cameras and then return it. So that's basically what I'm doing. I brought it. I'm going to go. I did a shoot already. I'll probably do maybe one more shoot with it, and then I'm going to return it. And if I got to pay the restocking fee, it's the same as me renting it from wherever. It's the same cost. So it's an even split. So
that's they sent me some lenses, and I went ahead and bought one, a Z50 actually. I bought a Z50, and I kind of like it. I'm just I got a good deal on it. So I paid $650 for the camera and the kit lens. So
the ZFC, it's the exact same sensor. I'm just not a big fan of APS-C lenses. APS-C cameras, APS-C cameras. And the thing about the mirrorless, the Nikon 8, they don't have any lenses. If there was a 16 1.4, I might keep this camera and it had IBIS. I might keep this camera and use it as a vlogging camera because this would work. But because it doesn't have any image stabilization, and I would use a camera like this to vlog with, and the only lens that you can vlog with is the kit lens because that's the only one that's wide enough. It's just kind of I might as well just use my Nikon with a 24 1 point whatever,
and it's not wide.
Wider,
it's not that wide. Nikon doesnesn't make any primes for the APS-C.
That's my point. There is no prime lens that's wider than what Viltrox is making, which is I think they make a 23. I have a 24 on there. A 16 would be perfect. Oh, it's something even wider, so that's my thing is that until they can come out with lenses that are supported by the APS-C system, it's just not really, I can't do anything with it.
What do you think of the Viltrox? Real quickly,
the Viltrox is making a way out of no way because they're actually really good quality lenses. This 56 1.4, and I haven't talked about it yet, so you guys are getting my first hand opinion, especially on this 56. The 56 is cool. It's kind of soft, wide open, although it's it's a cheaper third-party lens, wide open, so it's not as sharp. But in Capture One, you add some sharpening, it's perfect. It's good enough. The focus is great. This camera, this lens is actually pretty decent for focusing. Out of all of the Viltrox lenses, I've tried the 56, the 24, and the 35 1.8. The 24 is my favorite lens of all of them. The 24 stays on my camera now, the Viltrox. I own the Nikon 24 1.8, and I rather use the Viltrox over the Nikon.
Why so?
You said why so?
Yeah.
The Nikon is the better lens. It's the sharper lens. But the Viltrox is sharp enough to get the job done, which is all I need for my professional work. And the Viltrox is smaller, and the focus is just as accurate and just as smooth. So it's also silent. Yeah,
and it has an aperture dial.
Aperture, which that's not a big deal to me, but that's cool that it's there.
But even for video, is it the transitions are smooth?
I tested it. At night. I've used the Viltrox to record my videos with. It's on point. They figured it out. So people saying, oh, Nikon needs to open it so other third, Viltrox has figured it out. Like they figured it out.
What is your favorite reason? I mean, what is your reason why you use Nikon? One, if you were to choose one, why Nikon?
You know, that's what we started with. So how I got into photography years ago is I've always been into the visual arts and like, you know, making videos and stuff like that. And I used to say, I used to vlog before vlogging was a thing. Like my wife and I met on MySpace, right? So when we met on MySpace, she's from Washington State. I'm actually from Virginia. So I'm from the East Coast of the United States. She's from the West Coast, completely different sides. We met on MySpace online. Well, before we had met, I used to work for a place called Circuit City, which no longer exists.
Oh, yeah.
Vahagraphy, you're familiar. It's similar to like a Best Buy. To who those who might not know, Circuit City is like how Best Buy is, or, you know, electronic store. And so I used to work at Best Buy. I used to work in the camera section and I would sell the cameras. And so I would have, you know, I would do inventory. I was kind of like in charge almost. And so I had used to be, you know, be in charge of inventory and I learned about the specs and I always liked doing home videos. So I used to borrow the open box cameras from Circuit City, the ones that were just kind of sitting there. Or if inventory was like, yeah, we have one extra, I'd be like, oh, let me use this one extra one. So I would go out and create my own little, like, basically like vlogs of my life and just record stuff. And then when me and my wife met, I sent her my videos, all the videos of me, just so she could see what it was like around me in real life. And so that just kind of went from there. And then we got married and then we bought her a Nikon D40 because of that commercial with Ashton Kutcher and Nikon USA Town or whatever. She was like, oh, I want to do that. So we just bought the Nikon. I had no affinity or bias to any camera before we bought the Nikon. Actually, I probably would have bought a Sony because when I worked at Circuit City, to me, the Sony cameras were the best cameras because they had a lot of features. I always felt like the image qualities were sharp. And the Olympus, the Sony and the Olympus were the best ones.
How long ago was this? How long ago?
This was 2000. We met in 2005, so 2003, 2004.
So what were you selling back? What were they selling back then in Circuit City? They were showing like what, point and shoots, or were they selling DSLR?
Yeah, these are all point and shoots. So these are the Sony point and shoot cameras. Kodak had point and shoot cameras. This is before Kodak stopped making digital cameras at all. Olympus made, so they were the Kodaks, the Olympuses, and the Sonys were the three main ones that I remember that stuck out. And I remember,
that's how you got into photography.
Kind of. Well, so fast forward, I met my wife. She decided she wanted to buy, because she actually took photography, or had bought a camera and was into photography much more than me. I just like to document life and record memories. She actually liked photography, like the art of photography. So we bought her a camera when she saw the commercial, and then she bought it. It collected dust. Then she ended up getting surgery and was kind of sitting for a little while, decided to pick up the camera and learn it for real. And around that same time, I was trying to learn like the financials, like the stock market and stuff. And as she got better with the camera and started going out and doing shoots and people started paying her, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to come out too. And so I started coming out with her and started learning along with her. And then it came to the point where she wanted to upgrade. So she had a Nikon D40. We just upgraded to the D90. And so we just kind of went up from there. And, you know, once you get into a system, once you start buying lenses, you're in the system. But at that time, it was just what we had. Like you just wanted the commercial. It was a commercial that sold my wife on the consumer level ones. She learned, upgraded to the bigger ones, and then we just kind of go from there.
So if it wasn't for Ashton Kutcher, I'm kidding.
But they did commercials.
So, but later on, did you ever think of sort of comparing what you have with maybe the other brands, Canon and Sony, and what happened then? So, you know, there's a little bit of stubbornness in me, okay, and I don't know if that's because I'm a tourist, so I'm a little bit of a what is it? I guess you could say stubborn, a little bit like a hard-headed guy. Like I felt like when we got better with our Nikons, I was like, these are good. And you know how everybody picks a side. We're like, oh, Nikon. I spent, $2,000-$3,000 on this setup. Now you want me to give it up for that camera to take the same picture when I feel like my picture looked just as good. So it was just kind of we just stuck with Nikon through. Yeah, because my wife was like, oh, when she went to learn, like she went and did a mentorship with a lady who shot Canon. And she came back ready to switch to Canon. And I was like, no, we're not switching. We're sticking with the Nikon because these are just as good, So we just
we were just being stubborn, and we just stuck with Nikon, and you know, that's it. And I learned that, like, as I learned more and more about photography, I realized that, like, people love the Canon colors, although I like the Nikon colors because this is around the D700 range. But I realized that the Nikon had better dynamic range, was better in low light. And so I just stuck with Nikon for technical reasons over like, you know, the Canon colors or the lenses and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, we'll be just fine. We bought it. Why would you want to sell? Let's just stick around. So it was kind of like it was a little bit out of stubbornness to stay with Nikon.
Yeah. And with me, it's like I'm so curious that I go out and buy. I'm a Nikon. I have Nikons, but I go out and try the Canon. I go out and try the Sony. I was one of the first ones to buy the A7 when they just came out.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I've had Leicas. I've had Canon 5Ds, 1DXs, and you know, it's crazy. Why I use Nikon? The handling, the lenses. The lenses are number one, man. They make amazing lenses. But I wanted to ask you about your work because this is what I'm interested in. You do a lot of modeling shoots, a lot of, you know, models and awesome lighting
on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, you do weddings too. No, you do weddings too.
Well, so no, the reason you say that because I do a lot of models and stuff on YouTube and on my Instagram. But what a lot of people don't see is I shoot like a lot of high school seniors, which it's more portraits. It's not necessarily models, but it would seem like because it's an individual. But I do a lot of high school seniors and families. After this, I got to go do some headshots for a company and wedding work too. But most people see me if they find me on YouTube or even Instagram. It's just the models.
So how do you mark like your work? How do you market yourself? Where's the referrals come from? Is it like past clients, Instagram? What? How do you find work like that? Keep yourself busy.
So there's two sides to me, right? There's Ike, which is my professional work, and then there's Photo-Me-Ike. And so Ike has been in business since 2010, and Photo-Me-Ike started his YouTube page in 2016. So 6 years before Photo-Me-Ike became a thing, Ike had developed a whole bunch of clienteles and people, and you know, just a reputation for being, you know, great photographers in the community and things like that. We had a street team program that we did. We had a bunch of high school senior girls that we would shoot and mentor and stuff like that. So when I decided to start my YouTube channel, I needed someone to shoot. The very first model that I shot on my YouTube was my cousin who lives with me. I was like, hey, would you pretty, once you put on makeup, you're actually decent looking. Will you come out? You know, like I started with family. And so from her, the very next shoot after her was model shoot, at least, was a girl who was one of my previous clients. I was like, hey, you know, you're pretty, you can model, you mind modeling for YouTube? And then it just kind of grew from there. And most everybody from there has been past clients that have been that have come through Ike, like my business. And I'm like, oh, I work with you. I shot your senior pictures 3 years ago. Now you're a little bit older. Hey, you want to come model for my YouTube channel? And then from there, they're friends. So like, oh, I saw you shot with Ike or Ike. Yeah, we did a shoot for his YouTube. I want to model him. Hey, be the model. And so it just grew from there. So
you have a great personality and very
lots of word of mouth.
And you have great personality, very active, and you seem like you're fun to be around. If you need a model for your YouTube episode, whatnot, and you need somebody now and you don't have a client going on, how do you do you reach out to them and say, you want to do this? And do you
slide in the DMs?
Or how does it work?
I slide in the DMs. I'm like, hey, so now I've gotten to the point where I always got to test gear. So for example, like when I needed to do a shoot with the Viltrox 56-1.4, right? I had a free day that was like Thursday or Friday where it was sunny out. Because in the Northwest, that's not the problem with the Northwest, is during this time of the year, the days where it's not raining and it's decent enough outside to shoot gets slimmer and slimmer. So I might have like 1 or 2 days this week where it's nice out, but I might have a client shoot. If I have a client shoot, I can't do the YouTube stuff because I have to focus on what the client paid me for. Whereas with YouTube, I can do all my tests. I can do my autofocus tests. I can try different apertures because I'm just out there with the model to model. So let's say tomorrow is a nice day and I don't have any client work and I'm going to do some more ZFC content. Then I would just get on Instagram and I would hit up a bunch of different models or people in the DM and say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? are you free? You want to come out and do some modeling for me? Yeah, sure thing. Let me know. And then pick out some outfits. We'll say, oh yeah, that looks good. Meet me at my place at 3 o'clock, and then we'll go from there. So
But then
Yeah,
right now you're a sort of a large YouTuber where I think it becomes easy for you. But someone is like, when you started out, I think the game was certainly different.
So, for anybody trying to build a portfolio, I started off with, local people. And then once you do a great job, it just kind of grows from there. Same thing with our business. Like in our business, we started off with family and friends. And then once we got better, people outside of our close circle started reaching out, and then it grew from there.
with me, it's like if I really want to shoot with this person, like I really like her, the looks, I think she's perfect for this video. I want to ask you, if you really want to shoot with this particular model and she's like, not really into it, she's expecting you to, say, hey, how much? You know what I mean? Like ask you, hey, how much you gonna pay me for this shoot, right? Do you skip over that, or do you pay them, or do they volunteer? Do you collab? How does it work with you? Do you collab, or what's going? Do they,
I think
Hey.
he's giving an answer.
Hey, oof. Well, no,
Yeah,
okay,
because
no.
I think there is already an exchange, right? You're already
you know what
giving the
I'm trying to say,
pictures.
right? You know what I'm trying to say.
Here's the thing. I've worked with people who would normally charge other people. I think luckily for me, my work is good enough to where they're like, oh, you're actually worthy. Let's get together, because she knows she can get something good from me, whereas I can get some good from her. So it's more of a collab. If I found somebody who I was like, dang, I really want to work, but they want to charge me.
Yeah.
If I want them bad enough, I'll pay. I'm not against paying models, but before I pay, I'll see if I can find somebody else to do it for free.
Okay. I just wanted to know, because there's been times where I'm trying to get somebody and they either maybe ignore the message, or, hey, I really like your work, but I don't have time. I'm thinking, you know what, if I incentivize this, she might have time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had a few people ghost me or just not respond. And this is just off of the initial, hey, would love to work with you one day, and just no response. And I mean, it is what it is, but there's so many. Luckily, I live in the Northwest where the quality of women is a large amount, and that I can just reach out to the next one. Now, we'll say that with me, this thing, I don't work with a whole lot of professional models. So a lot of the people that I work with are just your everyday person off the street who I think, oh, you're cute. You got some cute clothes. Okay, cool. If you can come out and do all of your selfie stuff that you do on Instagram, if you can do that stuff in front of my camera, we'll make a great team.
Nice. I was watching you had a live about 3 months ago with 5 or 6 YouTubers
on this channel. Okay, I think it was on this channel.
Yeah. I was watching it a little bit, and it was very interesting how you were talking about YouTube and subscribers, and everybody was asking you, well, how much do you make, and how did you get 150,000 subscribers? And you commented on, well, there was one video where you put out where it got like 28 million views,
probably like 30 now.
Yeah, so that's what. And then you said, well, that's how I got 100 of my 150.
What was that about?
It was a live stream. Like, so I go live on my channel now because I just like going live while I shoot, because it's fun. Like, as soon as I was able to go live mobile, I'm like, oh, cool. Let's bring everybody with. Let's go out here and let's have fun. So it was a shoot like any other shoot you've seen on my channel that I would go live on.
Is that the one in your basement where you start up in your basement and then you're in your living room, the TV, and it's about 2 or 3 hours?
Hey, you pick one, because they all started in like that. All of them are the same, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
that's why I say it was just like any other live stream that I would do. It's just that one in particular got picked up in Bangladesh, India, Mumbai, Sri Lanka, all of those places. It got picked up and it got put on some kind of playlist, some kind of pervy playlist, and then the views just started going up, comments started going up, and then the people started subscribing. So it's a beautiful. It's what is it? Bittersweet, because I got a bunch of views off of a video and a bunch of subscribers, but they only subscribe because of that video, not because of my channel. So I'm always honest about the fact that, like, yeah, I have 150, but my engagement is nowhere near the level that somebody who has 150,000, or even because those people came for that one thing and then they left. And so,
hey, Frame, did you pick it up?
Yeah,
You're from, you're from India.
India.
No, but no. I'll tell you the reason. I think because you there's a lot of good-looking models on your on your channel, right? On those shoots, that could be a reason why.
By design. That's not an accident.
But, okay.
I pick them on purpose.
But yeah, I think that works, and I think, but the problem, like you said, is they're probably not there for learning or really learning more about the gear, so they're not probably consistent.
Correct.
And for example, one of the reasons I watch your videos is I actually want to see what your opinion is on a certain kind of gear and how you're shooting and how.
Yeah, so sex sells, of course, duh. And so I always make sure that I bring on models who I feel like are that look right. But also that video that went crazy, that was a live stream. So it wasn't necessarily a like structured video. Whereas my live streams, I'm just a little bit more like off the cuff, just kind of free with it. And we're doing stuff, we're having fun. My structured, like my actual recorded YouTube videos are way more informative, way more to the point about this is what we're doing where, but if you're watching a live stream, who knows what might happen on a live stream?
Yeah.
And so that video got picked up because it was a live stream. So it was a little bit more, you know, just me being funny, being free and making jokes and stuff and the model having a good time. But if you pay attention to my actual normal videos, you know, even though the models, it's still a pretty model, whatever, I'm still trying to be to the point, trying to be informative, make sure that I'm telling people, this is what I think about this lens, or here's how I use this lighting, or this is what I think about this flash, but also giving you some eye candy and something for you to be, for you to enjoy looking at, as well as enjoy being informed by. And then, you know, my personality tries to bring an entertaining part to the whole thing.
So I wanted to ask you I love your Z6 video. Your Z6 video rocks. I mean, that video.
Which one? The review?
The review.
Oh yeah, thanks.
That the graphics and all that, the editing is so awesome, man. Props on that one. You know, do you do your own cuts or
that's another thing. That's why I haven't posted, because I do everything myself. So all of that editing,
great job editing.
Yeah,
man.
all of that was me, and I worked hard because like I'm not good at this, like here's what I think about this, and that's not my thing. So most of my videos have me on location talking about, and then I might do a voiceover. That Z6 review was like one of my only videos where I'm just sitting talking to the camera and with no model, no distractions, just me in that. Otherwise, most of it, if you pay attention, most of the time is a voiceover of me, you know, talking about specs.
Let me tell you something. You did a great job. Very simple, very to the point, to understand. Everything was so clear. Some of these guys, when they do reviews on YouTube, not everybody, but some of these guys, they're just like, what did he say? You know, they're so fast. And but you were just like so like awesome. That review was just amazing, man.
It's one of my favorite videes and one of my best videos. And then also it gave me a chance to like just show more of my work than just the models. Like I went to Greece, and so I got to show some of my Greece footage, and then some of my wedding work and some landscape and some New York stuff. So I was like, oh, let me just show everything.
Do more of that stuff, man. I love it.
I must say something here. What I like about what you have done in I think in 2000, the entirety of 2020, and also some part of the 2019 was the fact that you stuck to Z6. Right? You stuck to it, because someone actually asked me this question: why do YouTubers change gear and cameras so often? Right? Because I think it creates unnecessary dissatisfaction out there, thinking, oh, I need to upgrade now within 6 months because there's a new one out there. You actually stuck to your Z6, and I don't think you immediately upgraded to the Z6II just because the Z6II came out, right? There's a period of time when you're still using the Z6.
That's me in real life. Like me in real life is like when I go do these headshots for this company, I'm taking my Z6. My wife owns the Z6II. It's actually not my Z6II, it's my wife's. We both shoot. We're both actually a husband and wife team. So she's just as a competent photographer, and that's actually her camera. I own the Z6. And so the only time I even really get the Z6II is when she lets me use her camera. Good point, because there are some videos on my channel where I'm shooting with Sony and or Canon or whatever, like Panasonic, and I do that because I try to play the YouTube game. And the YouTube game is using gear and content to get likes and clicks and all of that stuff like that. But in real life, you know, who I am, it's just my Z6 still works. It still takes great pictures. Let me do a Z6 video, a portrait with my Z6. But on YouTube, the Z6 is old news. The Z6II or the Sony A7R4 or, you know, R5 is the new thing. So what's going to get the viewers? Like the R5 or the Z6 from 2018?
Yeah, but you know, I think at some level, I think it's quite satisfying, isn't it? Like I have my XT3. I bought it used, and I don't know. I must have thought 10 times of selling it off, but every time I say no, I'm not going to sell it off, and I go out and shoot. It's very satisfying. It's like I'm getting my money's worth.
No, I still use my D800 sometimes.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly. I did a video where I was like, you know, is in 2020 is the D800 still worth it or whatever? And I was like, yeah, you can still take the same pictures you took. Yeah, and the things don't change in photography. Like, and I always find it interesting, especially I feel like in YouTube we're in a bubble of constant upgrading, constant, you know, not being satisfied because, oh, what's the latest and greatest, or you don't have that, then you're not good enough. Whereas once you get outside of that bubble and go into the real world, most people are still using 5D Mark IIIs, D750s, you know, whatever, like Z6P. A lot of people don't know what the newest thing is, or they just bought a Z6. And so
the focus is so much on what you cannot do with the camera, and instead of what you can
do. Yeah, that is very, very much so. And so I like to try to be grounded. I do like to play the game and try to get the views and try to use new gear to get clickbait and stuff like that, because that's how you grow your channel. That there's a method to the madness. But also I like to also add balance and saying that, hey, like, photography is photography. Aperture is aperture. If your camera can do 100 frames per second or 5, F5 is going to be F5 at the end of the day. ISO 100 is going to be ISO 100. Yeah. You know, 1/250th is going to be 1/250th, whether it's at 20 frames per second or 2 frames per second. It's the same 1/250th, and light is going to come in and cast a shadow regardless of whatever camera you have. And so I always try to make sure that I'm keep that point in my videos, that I'm like, hey, this is about photography at the end of the day, not about the camera.
There's advances, of course, low light and this and that, sharper lenses, better corners. However, you know, it's who's behind the camera than the camera. You can get the job done with any camera these days. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
I wanted to, before we close, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, quick answers, because I always do this at the end of my talks. But before we get to that, I was just going to comment on your 100,000, you know, video that got all these, you know, subscriptions. I just feel like that's so crazy, you know. 100,000 in like no time, right? Like couple, like what, a year, 2 years?
I actually cut it off for a while because I was just like, this is crazy. This is not even what I want to be known for. Like, what in the world? Like, I kind of like was like, ugh. So I made it like unlisted to not be available. And then I was like, yeah. And then I was like, this is my thing. I was like, you know what? This is stupid. If this is what's going to get me to the promised land, 100,000 subscribers, then why not? Because I felt like, personally, as a photographer, I'm just as good as Jared Poland, Tony and Chelsea, Manny Ortiz, Anita, Irene. Who else has a man? Name any of those, you know, photographers who have like hundreds of thousands. I'm like, my work is just as good as theirs. My content is just as good as theirs. I just don't get the views. And so if this video is going to get me to 100,000 and I can use that to make me seem legit, because numbers do matter, then so be it. So I was like, you know what? However you get there is however you get there, as long as you get there.
Yeah, you got do they give you a check mark right after you pass 100?
No, I think it takes a while, but it took like I think a month or two for it to be like established or whatever. Because I had to like apply, I had to be like verified or whatever. So it wasn't even like automatic. Like once you hit it, then you have to be like, oh, you know, be verified. And
you get that after 100K?
Yeah. 100K then. And before it was like, as soon as you had 100K, you could be verified. Now they changed it to where like you have to do some other stuff, but it doesn't matter to me because I'm already there.
Yeah, man, that's good. Hey, man, well, I love your work. You know, you have amazing content. And okay, so quick questions again. If you were to choose alive or dead, anybody in subject to photograph person, who would it be, alive or dead?
Live or dead? Who could I photograph? Jeez.
Like if you had the choice, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who. I don't know if there's anybody that I would want to photograph. Jeez.
All right, what's your dream gig? Your dream gig, like this is the gig. I'll drop anything and I'll go do this. I'm talking about like you
Hey,
get
Ike,
contracted to do something. You know what I mean?
Sports Illustrated is going to Hawaii, and we want you to shoot the Sports Illustrated. That's my dream gig. Out on the beach with some models. All right, bet. Take me, fly me out. Bet. As much as I don't consider myself to be a fashion photographer, I would love to be, booked to shoot like a fashion gig or some like, Louis Vuitton campaign or, something, those Chanel, whatever those fashion campaigns that you see, that would be cool to be able to shoot something like that. So that would be very high on my list to be able to do.
Oh,
Is,
awesome.
a commercial fashion shoot campaign.
Oh, that's cool, man. So, oh man, what can I say, man? You're doing a great job, Ike. And it was a pleasure to talk with you on Vahagraphy Talk number 8. Frames, before you wrap up here, got any questions for Ike?
No, but I love this chat, Ike. And I got to know your real name.
Oh, yeah.
This has been a great chat. So thanks, Ike, for joining us.
Oh, before I wrap up, I'm very curious.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of other YouTubers? I mean, like, is there all this drama going on, man? You notice all this drama with shit talking and
Here's the thing. This is the thing about me. This is where I'm different. Is I actually enjoy it. Okay. I'm here for the smoke. I'm here for the shit. I'm here for all of it. Okay.
That's what I want to ask you.
I don't
Good answer.
I don't like to pick. I'm not bully, and I hate misinformation. And I always try to be. So remember I told you I used to work at Circuit City. I used to work at Circuit City, and I pride myself on knowing the right answer. I don't have to be right all the time, but I do want to know the right answer. So, and I don't want to give out bad information. So anytime I see a YouTuber or anybody talking about this, that, and the third, and they're saying something that's not true, it's a trigger for me because I'm just like, that's not true. You're telling people the wrong information. Then they're going to go out and make a decision based on misinformation and be led down the wrong path and blah, blah, blah. Big name YouTubers who don't even, live by what they talk about. And they're giving out all of this misinformation or telling people this, that, and the third. I'm just like, that's not true. And I was talking yesterday on my live stream about this, in that like, it's hard to trust YouTubers on camera reviews because a lot of them don't use the camera. They don't use the brand.
Yeah,
like I use Nikon. So my pride in sticking with Nikon is knowing Nikon ins and out, upside down, backwards, knowing what it can do, knowing what it can't do.
Yeah.
I pride myself in being a very proficient, a very well, a photographer who can execute. And I'm using a camera that a lot of people would consider less than, and yet I'm doing and creating images and we're doing work that, that can compete with the best of them, in my humble opinion. And so I always try to present that side on my channel, that like, hey, I'm actually using the gear every day. Like I got to go do a job that I got paid for with this exact same gear. This gear is very, very capable of all of the stuff that these people complain about. They just don't use the gear. It's a pet peeve of mine, especially people who are always switching. Like you said, they're always switching camera brands. They don't have enough time to actually use the gear. I remember when Tony and Chelsea they did the reviews on the Nikon Z6 when it first came out. And it was like, yeah, the Nikon white balance is not very good. And I'm like, Nikon has like 3 different white balances. Maybe you were in the wrong white balance, and that's why you didn't say, did you try the natural light auto white balance? Did you try to keep white balance? Did you try the overall atmosphere white? There's 3 different and these are all auto white balances. If you're somebody who doesn't shoot Nikon and doesn't know the intricacies of the different modes, then if you're somebody who shoots Sony and you pick up the Nikon, you're like, oh, I don't like how this works. And then you will end up getting on your channel with 50, 100,000, 200,000 subscribers and saying, yeah, it's not very good because when I hit this button, you can't do the tracking. I'm like, you didn't hit the button. You didn't hit the right mode.
We don't know all the answers. We're on YouTube, but we don't know all the answers, but you have to kind of do your homework. And, you can tell when somebody's pretty much in there for the check or they're in there for the love of photography, which,
I'd rather believe they're just ignorant and they don't know better. Like, for example, Jerry Pullen.
Did you see his video? Did you see his video?
I'm actually a big fan. Like when I first got, this is before YouTube, when I first got into photography and I was learning photography, Jared Poland sold me a lot of Nikon gear because he was the only person that you could find like really decent Nikon reviews on. But that was back then. Now it's in a situation where like, I don't like this. This doesn't look good this way. I don't like this because this isn't good. And then that just irks me because I'm just like, bro, can we talk about what the camera is capable of as opposed to how bad it is and what it can't do compared this to that and the third. And it's just,
we're running out of time. I know you got to go. And all right, well, that's awesome, Ike. I want to thank you again, Frames. It was a pleasure talking with you on Vahagraphy Talk number 8. Always. Keep up the good work, and
appreciate
we'll
you.
talk to you
for having
soon,
me,
man. And you know what? I'll see you in the comment section.
when are we doing this again?
Chat.
When are we doing this again?
Oh, whenever you want.
after the Z9 comes out.
All right.
I get my hands on one.
All right. Yeah. Rock and roll, fellas. Thank you, Ike. Thank you, friends.
I appreciate you.
See you next time.